I took the Greenskeeper job because I thought abandoned golf courses were just grass, ponds, and rich people's bad decisions left to rot. That was my first mistake. My second mistake was thinking Florida was easier to understand because everything dangerous there already looked dangerous. Alligators, snakes, heat, sinkholes, lightning storms that rolled in like punishment. You expect those things. You respect them. You avoid tall grass near water. Don't stick your hands where you can't see. Don't stand under trees during storms. And don't act surprised when the air itself feels like soup. But there are things in Florida that don't hiss, bite, or flash across the sky. There are places that just wait. The golf course was called Cypress Hollow. It sat outside a small town in central Florida, hidden behind a rusted iron gate and a row of dead palms. Once, according to the faded sign, it had been Cypress Hollow Golf and Country Club. 18 holes, private clubhouse, event hall, lake views, championship greens, luxury villas coming soon. The villas never came. The course closed in 2009 after a hurricane, a lawsuit, and something involving the old owner that nobody in town wanted to explain clearly. The clubhouse was boarded up. The cart paths cracked. The fairways turned wild. Palmettos swallowed the rough. Cypress knees pushed through old bunkers. Spanish moss hung over everything like dirty gray hair. Still, someone kept paying taxes on it. Someone also wanted it maintained, not restored, maintained. That was the exact word in the job posting. Greenskeeper needed private closed golf course night maintenance. No public access, must follow instructions exactly, cash pay. Night maintenance should have been enough to scare me off. Golf courses are daytime places. They belong to retirees, overpriced polos, little carts, sprinklers ticking in the morning, and angry men pretending their slice is caused by wind. But I needed money. I had moved to Florida after my dad died, mostly because my aunt had a spare room and I had nowhere else to go. I was 29, unemployed, behind on car payments, and tired of applying to jobs where managers asked me about long-term goals when my only goal was not getting my phone shut off. So I answered the ad. A man named Gerald Evers called me the next day. His voice sounded old, dry, and impatient. "You ever work grounds?" he asked. "Landscaping, apartment complexes, some mowing. Golf course experience?" "No." "Equipment?" "Basic." "Can you operate a real mower?" "I can learn." "Can you follow rules that sound stupid?" That should have stopped me. Instead, I said, "Depends how stupid." He was silent for a moment. Then he said, "Honest, I like that better than confident." He told me to meet him at Cypress Hollow at 4:30 p.m. sharp, not 5, not after dark. He said if I reached the gate and saw it closed, I should not climb over, no matter what I heard from inside. I laughed. He hung up. I arrived early. The road to Cypress Hollow cut through flat scrubland and swamp, then narrowed beneath live oaks twisted over the pavement. The air smelled like wet earth, rotting leaves, and hot water. Mosquitoes swarmed my windshield when I slowed at the gate. The sign was still there, though half covered in vines. Cypress Hollow. Private members only. Under that, someone had spray painted, "Course closed." Under that, scratched into the wood with something sharp, "Play through the iron gate stood open." Beyond it, a long driveway curved past overgrown landscaping toward the clubhouse. The grass on either side had gone wild, but not completely. Someone had been cutting it in strips, not neatly, not recently, but enough to make paths. I drove in. The clubhouse appeared through the trees like a place that had died, pretending it was still expensive. 2 stories. Stucco walls stained green with mildew. Red tile roof missing sections. Arched windows boarded from inside. A wide covered entrance where valet parking probably used to be. One wing had collapsed partially, exposing dark interior rooms and hanging insulation. A circular driveway looped in front of it. In the middle of the loop stood a dry fountain shaped like a golfer mid-swing. The golfer's head was missing. A maintenance shed sat behind the clubhouse near the cart barn. That was where Gerald Evers waited. He was older than I expected, maybe 70, maybe more. Thin, deeply tanned with white stubble, a faded green work shirt, khaki pants, and rubber boots stained black around the soles. He wore a Cypress hollow cap so sun-bleached the logo was almost gone. He watched me park, didn't wave, didn't smile. "You're late," he said when I got out. I checked my phone. 4:21. "I'm early. Not for this place." He turned and walked toward the maintenance shed. I followed. The shed was long and metal, with roll-up doors, fuel tanks, tools, old fertilizer bags, spare flags, broken rakes, irrigation controls, and several pieces of mowing equipment. A small office had been built into one corner with a desk, radio, wall map, filing cabinet, and a corkboard covered in yellowing course notices. Gerald pointed through the shed. "Equipment stays inside unless assigned. Fuel gets logged. Don't touch chemicals unless I tell you. Cart keys stay in the lockbox. Irrigation panel is labeled. Emergency shutoff is outside, west wall." He spoke fast. I tried to keep up. "Your shift runs 6 p.m. to 6 a.m., 3 nights a week to start. You'll mow selected greens, check irrigation, clear debris from cart paths, inspect pond edges from a distance, and log anything unusual. Unusual like storm damage, among other things." The way he said that made my stomach tighten. He led me to a large map of the course pinned to the wall. Cypress Hollow had 18 holes arranged around wetlands, ponds, and patches of cypress trees. The front 9 curled near the clubhouse. The back 9 stretched deeper into swamp. Several holes were circled in red. Hole 3, Hole 7, Hole 9, Hole 13, Hole 18. Gerald tapped Hole 13 with one finger. "Don't go there tonight." "Why? You're new. That doesn't explain anything." "It explains enough." I gave a small laugh. Gerald looked at me. I stopped laughing. He pointed out the basic route. "Start at the maintenance shed. Take cart 4. Check the first tee, then greens 1, 2, and 3. Avoid 4 due to a broken bridge. Check irrigation at 5. Do not stop near the pond on 7 unless the pump alarm goes off. Return by the clubhouse. Then repeat after midnight if instructed by radio." "Who instructs me by radio?" I asked. "Me." "You'll be here?" "No." That answer sat between us. Gerald opened the office drawer and removed a folded packet. It was laminated. Of course it was laminated. I should have turned around right then. I had heard enough internet stories to know that when an old man at a remote job hands you laminated rules, you get back in your car and leave. But real life doesn't feel like a story when you're in it. It feels like bills. It feels like pride. It feels like telling yourself old men are weird and money is money. Gerald placed the rules on the desk. At the top, in bold black letters, it said, "Cypress Hollow Night. Rules for the Greenskeeper. Do not improvise. Do not play through." There were 23 rules. Rule 1. Lock the front gate at sunset. Do not open it again until sunrise. Rule 2. Use only cart 4 after dark. If cart 4 is not in the barn, wait in the shed until it returns. Rule 3. Never mow green 13 at night. Rule 4. If you find a golf ball on a green you did not place there, mark it with a red T and leave it. Rule 5. If someone yells, 4, after midnight, lie flat until you hear the ball land. Rule 6. Do not retrieve anything from the water hazards. Rule 7. The pond on hole 7 has no alligators. If you see one there, turn off your headlights and reverse slowly. Rule 8. If sprinklers run black water, let them run until the frogs stop calling. Rule 9. Do not enter the clubhouse after dark, even if the lights are on. Rule 10. If the pro shop bell rings, write the time in the log and ignore it. Rule 11. If a golf cart follows you without a driver, do not look back. Drive to the maintenance shed and shut the door. Rule 12. At 1:17 a.m., do not stand on any fairway. Rule 13. Count the flags before midnight. There should be 18. If there are 19, do not touch the extra flag. Rule 14. If a man in a white visor asks for his tee time, tell him the tournament was canceled in 2009. Rule 15. If you hear applause from the clubhouse balcony, do not bow. Rule 16. If the sand traps look freshly raked, stay out of them. Rule 17. If the irrigation radio speaks in your voice, unplug it and put it in the fertilizer room. Rule 18. Do not answer knocking from inside a locked golf cart. Rule 19. If lightning flashes with no thunder, count the seconds until you hear a club strike. Rule 20. If the course map changes, copy the new path into the log before sunrise. Rule 21. If Gerald radios and tells you to open the gate at night, ask him what happened on the 18th green. If he says sinkhole, keep the gate locked. Rule 22. If you see players on the back nine, do not count them unless they count you first. Rule 23. If the cup on any green is full of teeth, replace the flag and leave immediately. I read the list. Then I looked at Gerald. He waited. I said, "No." His eyebrows rose. "No? No, I'm not doing this haunted golf course bit." "Haunted is your word." "Okay, cursed golf course bit. Better?" He did not smile. I picked up the sheet. "The pond on hole 7 has no alligators? In Florida? Not anymore. What does that mean?" "It means if you see one, it's not an alligator." The shed seemed too quiet. Outside, insects buzzed in the wet heat. I looked back at the rules. Cup full of teeth? Rare. Rare. Rare enough that people think they can ignore the rule. I set the sheet down. "I need work, but I'm not insane." Gerald nodded once. "Then leave." "I almost did. That is what bothers me most." He gave me a way out. The gate was open. My car was outside the shed. The sun was still above the trees. Nothing had happened yet except one old man saying strange things. I could have left. Instead, I asked, "How much did you say the pay was?" Gerald named a number, cash, weekly, more than double what the listing implied. I hated how fast that changed my mind. He saw it happen. His face did not soften. "Money is bait," he said. "I don't pretend otherwise." "At least you're honest." "No, I'm old. There's a difference." He took a key ring from the desk and set it beside the rules. Shed, gate, cart barn, fuel cage, office. Clubhouse exterior only. Do not enter the clubhouse after dark. I read the rule. Reading is not obeying. He checked his watch. 5:42. Sunset is in 27 minutes. I leave in 10. You lock the gate at sunset exactly. You don't stay? No. You expect me to stay here alone after giving me that list? Yes. Why? Because the course needs a greenskeeper. That was the kind of answer old men in bad places always give. It means nothing. It means everything. Before Gerald left, he walked me through cart 4. It was an old green utility cart with a cracked windshield, 2 seats, a cargo bed, and a faded number 4 painted on the front. The other carts in the barn were dusty, rusted, or missing parts. Cart 4 looked freshly cleaned. That did not make me feel better. Gerald showed me the radio, clipped beneath the dashboard. Channel 1 reaches me. Channel 2 goes to irrigation. Do not use Channel 3. Why? He looked at me. Because the clubhouse answers. Of course it did. He handed me a flashlight, a red plastic bag of teas, and a small notebook. Red teas are for Rule 4. Log everything. Don't leave blank spaces. Blank spaces get filled. I stared at him. By who? By people who want to be remembered wrong. He walked to his truck. Gerald. He stopped. What happened on the 18th green? He turned slowly. Good question. And I won't answer it before dark. Why not? Because once you know a thing, the course knows what to use. He got into his truck. Before leaving, he rolled the window down. One more rule that isn't on the sheet. Great. If you smell fresh-cut grass where you haven't mowed, turn around. Why? Gerald looked past me toward the course. Because something is maintaining a path for you. Then he drove away. I watched his truck disappear down the driveway, past the dead palms, through the open gate. At sunset, I locked it. The padlock clicked shut. The entire course seemed to hear it. I don't mean that poetically. The insects stopped. The palms went still. Somewhere far out on the back 9, a single golf ball dropped into a cup. That small plastic clack carried across the course like a gunshot. I stood by the gate, key still in my hand, and told myself I was already getting scared because I had been told to be scared. That was all. Suggestion, atmosphere, old Florida heat messing with my nerves. Then the pro shop bell rang inside the locked clubhouse. Once, clear, metallic. Rule 10. If the pro shop bell rings, write the time in the log and ignore it. I walked back to the shed faster than I meant to. The maintenance office was dim, except for one fluorescent light flickering over the desk. I opened the logbook and wrote 7:28 p.m. Pro shop bell rang once, ignored. The moment I finished writing, the bell rang again. I did not look toward the clubhouse. I wrote 7:29 p.m. Pro shop bell rang again, ignored. It rang a third time, then stopped. At 7:45, I started my first route. Cart 4 hummed beneath me as I rolled out from the maintenance shed. The headlights cut across overgrown cart path, wet grass, and palms. Frogs called from every direction. The air smelled of mud, weeds, stagnant water, and something faintly chemical from the old fertilizer shed. Hole 1 looked almost normal. The tee box was overgrown, but recognizable. The fairway had become rough pasture. The green, strangely, was short enough to see the cup and flag. Flag 1. I counted it in my head. Gerald had said to count flags before midnight. There should be 18. I drove slowly. Hole 2. Flag 2. Hole 3. Flag 3. The third green sat near a line of cypress trees draped in moss. As my cart lights hit the grass, I saw a white golf ball sitting 10 feet from the cup. I stopped. Rule 4. If you find a golf ball on a green you did not place there, mark it with a red tee and leave it. The ball looked new, bright white, perfectly clean. I took one red tee from the bag, walked onto the green, and pushed it into the turf beside the ball. As soon as the tee touched the ground, the ball rolled, just an inch, toward the cup. I stepped back. The ball rolled another inch, then stopped. I returned to the cart and drove away. Behind me, something whispered from the trees. Good putt. I did not turn around. At hole 5, the sprinklers came on. All of them. They burst from the turf with a hard mechanical hiss, spraying black water in wide arcs across the fairway and green. Rule 8. If sprinklers run black water, let them run until the frogs stop calling. The frogs were loud, painfully loud now. A wall of croaks, chirps, rattles, and trills rising from the ponds and wet grass. The black water smelled like swamp mud and pennies. It soaked the green. It ran down cart path edges. It pooled in low spots, thick and shiny under my headlights. I stayed in the cart and waited. The frogs grew louder, then all at once stopped. The silence hit hard. The sprinklers shut off by themselves. Black water dripped from palm fronds. The fairway steamed. In the wet grass ahead, footprints appeared. Bare feet, large, black. Walking away from the sprinklers toward the clubhouse, I did not follow. At 8:33, I reached hole 7. The pond on hole 7 was bigger than I expected. It wrapped around the fairway like a crescent, black water reflecting nothing. Not the sky, not my headlights, nothing. Rule 7. The pond on hole 7 has no alligators. If you see one there, turn off your headlights and reverse slowly. I did not stop near the edge. I drove slowly along the cart path, eyes forward. Something moved in the water, low, long. I froze. 2 eyes rose above the surface, then a ridged back. Alligator, a big one. It drifted toward the bank without making ripples. I turned off the headlights. Darkness swallowed the cart. The frogs were still silent. I put the cart in reverse and backed slowly down the path. The alligator climbed out of the pond. I could barely see its shape in the dark, but I heard its feet on wet grass. Heavy, slow. Then it stood up. Not all the way, not like a man, but higher than an alligator should. Its long body lifted at an angle, front claws dangling, head turning toward me. In the dark, a voice came from its mouth. Cart path only. I kept reversing. The thing dropped back to all fours and slid into the pond. I did not turn the headlights on until hole 7 was behind me. At 9:05, I returned to the shed and counted the flags from the map as I logged. I had seen flags 1 through 7, 6 normal, 1 near the pond, missing. Hole 7 had no flag. I wrote that down. Then I checked the window. Out in the distance, a flag fluttered on the 7th green. I had looked directly at that green minutes earlier. No flag. Now there was one. I did not go back. At 9:30, the clubhouse lights turned on. Not all of them, just the bar. I knew because the clubhouse had tall windows facing the course, and warm amber light suddenly filled the old dining room. Through the boards and dirty glass, I could see shelves of bottles behind the bar, tables, chairs, ceiling fans slowly turning. Music drifted across the course, soft jazz, then laughter. Rule 9, do not enter the clubhouse after dark, even if the lights are on. Rule 15, if you hear applause from the clubhouse balcony, do not bow. At first there was only laughter, then glasses clinking. Then a crowd applauded. A warm, polite round of applause from inside a building that should have been empty. I stood in the shed doorway. The applause continued. Then a spotlight clicked on above the clubhouse balcony, shining directly onto me. I stepped back. The applause grew louder. A man's voice called, "Speech!" More laughter, more applause. I did not bow. I did not wave. I closed the shed door. The applause stopped. At 10:12, the irrigation radio spoke in my voice. It was mounted beside the pump controls, separate from the cart radio. I had not touched it all night. Static crackled. Then my own voice said, 7:28 p.m. Pro shop bell rang once. Ignored. Rule 17. If the irrigation radio speaks in your voice, unplug it and put it in the fertilizer room. I unplugged it. It kept speaking. 7:29 p.m. Pro shop bell rang again. Ignored. I carried it at arm's length to the fertilizer room, opened the door, and placed it inside. The room smelled sharply of old chemicals and damp paper bags. As I shut the door, my voice from inside whispered, "Blank spaces get filled." I locked it. At 10:44, cart 4 started by itself. I was in the office, checking the route map, when I heard the cart motor hum outside. I ran to the shed door. Cart 4 rolled slowly out of the cart barn. No one in the seat. Rule 2 said use only cart 4 after dark. If cart 4 is not in the barn, wait in the shed until it returns. So I waited. Cart 4 turned toward the course and disappeared down the cart path, headlights off. The shed became very quiet. The route map on the wall rustled. I looked at it. The printed course layout had changed. Hole 13 had moved. Not physically, obviously, on the map. The red circle around hole 13 slid across the paper, dragging the hole with it. Fairway lines bent. Cart paths shifted. The old back 9 loop rearranged itself until hole 13 sat directly behind the maintenance shed. Rule 20. If the course map changes, copy the new path into the log before sunrise. I did not want to touch the map, but I took the notebook and copied what I saw. As I drew, I smelled fresh-cut grass. Right outside the shed. Gerald's extra rule. If you smell fresh-cut grass where you haven't mowed, turn around. I turned around. The roll-up shed door was open. It had been closed. Outside, under the weak security light, a narrow strip of perfectly mowed grass led away from the shed into darkness. A path, maintained for me. I shut the door and locked it. Something on the other side sighed. At 11:18, cart 4 returned. It rolled into the barn by itself, parked crooked, and shut off. Mud coated the tires. Fresh grass clippings covered the blades of grass stuck under its frame. In the passenger seat was a scorecard. I did not want to touch it. I touched it anyway. At the top, where the player name should have been, it said, Marcus Reed, my name. Under that, Cypress Hollow Invitational, final round tee time, midnight, Rule 11? No, not driverless cart. Rule 14? Tee time, man. There was no specific rule for my name on a scorecard, except Rule 17 was radio voice, Rule 20 map, Rule 21, Gerald. The rules had gaps. I flipped the scorecard over. A handwritten note on the back said, play through or be played. I burned it in the maintenance sink with a lighter from the desk drawer. As it curled black, applause came from the clubhouse again. This time, no one laughed. At 11:55, I counted the flags. I stood in the shed office with binoculars, the map, and every exterior floodlight on. Flag 1. I stopped before 13. Rule 3. Never mow green 13 at night. It didn't say I couldn't count its flag, but I did not like how the number felt in my mouth. I continued. 18 flags. Good. Then a 19th flag rose from the ground in front of the clubhouse fountain. Black flag. No number. It fluttered without wind. Rule 13. If there are 19, do not touch the extra flag. I logged it. 11:58 p.m. 19 flags observed. Extra black flag near clubhouse fountain. Not touched. At midnight, the black flag vanished. The pro shop bell rang. The clubhouse bar lights turned off. The course went dark. Then someone yelled from far out on the fairway. 4, Rule 5. If someone yells, 4! After midnight, lie flat until you hear the ball land. I dropped to the shed floor. A second later, something slammed into the metal wall above my head. Hard, the sound rang through the shed. A golf ball bounced across the concrete and rolled to a stop beside my face. It was not white. It was yellowed, cracked, wet, and stuck to one side of it was a human tooth. I lay there until the ball stopped moving. Then I stood, took a red tee, and marked the ball where it lay. I did not pick it up. At 12:36, Gerald radioed. "Maintenance, Gerald." I stared at the cart radio. "Gerald, go ahead." "Status?" I hesitated. "Active." A dry laugh came through. "Good word." Cart 4 moved by itself. Map changed. 19th flag appeared. Scorecard had my name. "Burned?" "Yes." "Good. What is this place?" "A golf course." "Don't." Static crackled. Gerald sighed. "It was built on wetlands that did not want to be drained, beside a sinkhole no one wanted to map, by men who thought money made land obedient." "That's not an answer. It's the answer you get before your first midnight." I looked toward the course. "What happened on the 18th green?" Silence. Then Gerald said, "Ask me if I tell you to open the gate." "That's the rule." "Yes. Why?" "Because the thing that tells that story wrong wears my voice." Before I could reply, the radio switched to my voice. "Open the gate." I froze. My voice repeated, "Open the gate." Gerald's real voice came through underneath it, faint and urgent. "Unplug the radio." I ripped it from the cart dashboard. My voice continued, now from the speaker, without power. "Open the gate." I threw it into the fertilizer room with the irrigation radio and locked the door. Both radios spoke together from inside. My voice, Gerald's voice, a woman's voice, a crowd cheering, then silence. At 1:03, I smelled fresh-cut grass again, inside the shed. The scent was strong, sweet, green, wrong. I turned around. The back wall of the maintenance shed had become a fairway. Not looked like one, become one. The metal shelves, tools, and fertilizer bags were gone. In their place stretched a moonlit strip of perfect grass bordered by palms and dark water. A cart path curved gently ahead. Sprinklers ticked in the distance. At the far end stood Green 13. A flag waited in the cup. The flag was black. I backed toward the office door. The fairway moved closer, not fast, just enough, like the shed was being swallowed from the inside. Then the locked cart barn door knocked. Tap, tap, tap. Rule 18. Do not answer knocking from inside a locked golf cart. I had not locked a cart. The knock came again, from cart 4. Tap, tap, tap. A voice inside the cart whispered, "Your tea time is now." The office clock clicked. 1:17 a.m., Rule 12. At 1:17 a.m., do not stand on any fairway. I looked down. The concrete floor beneath my boots was no longer concrete. It was grass, perfectly cut, wet with dew. I was standing on a fairway. The black flag on Green 13 leaned toward me, and from the darkness beyond the green, a man in a white visor called, "You're up, Marcus. You're up, Marcus." The man in the white visor stood at the edge of Green 13 like he had been waiting there all night. Maybe he had. The maintenance shed was gone behind me. Not fully. I could still see pieces of it if I looked too long. The metal office door hung in the air behind me, half attached to nothing. The fluorescent light buzzed above an empty patch of grass. The tool rack flickered in and out beside a palm tree. The concrete floor under my boots had become fairway, and the fairway stretched forward toward the black flag. It was 1:17 a.m., Rule 12. At 1:17 a.m., do not stand on any fairway. I looked down at the perfect grass beneath my boots and felt my stomach drop. The course had not asked me to break the rule. It had moved the rule under me. The man in the white visor smiled. He was maybe 50, maybe older, tanned face, clean white polo, pleated khaki pants, white golf glove on one hand. His shoes were spotless, even though the grass around him was wet. A gold watch shone on his wrist. His visor had the Cypress Hollow logo embroidered on the front in green thread. He looked like every country club man I had ever hated on sight. Comfortable, polite, certain that everything around him existed to be used. He held a driver in one hand. "You're holding up the tournament," he said. I took one slow step backward. The grass squished under my boot. The fairway extended behind me. The shed door moved farther away. The man's smile tightened. "Don't be rude. You accepted the tee time." I burned the scorecard. "That's not the same as declining." The black flag on green 13 fluttered once. No wind. The man pointed his driver toward a tee box that had not been there a moment earlier. A white ball sat on a tee. Beside it stood a golf bag with my name stitched across the front. Marcus Reed. Not printed, stitched, like it had belonged to me for years. Rule 14. If a man in a white visor asks for his tee time, tell him the tournament was canceled in 2009. I forced my mouth to work. The tournament was canceled in 2009. For 1 second, everything stopped. The frogs, the distant sprinklers, the hum of insects, even the buzzing fluorescent light behind me. The man in the white visor stared at me. Then his smile vanished. "Who told you that?" I said nothing. His fingers tightened around the club grip. "That tournament was not canceled." "The tournament was canceled in 2009. His face twitched. A muscle under one eye jumped. Behind him, other figures appeared at the edge of the green. Players, at least a dozen of them. Men in polos, women in visors, older retirees, one teenage caddy carrying a bag too large for his frame. All of them stood unnaturally still in the dark, watching me. Their clothes were clean, but their skin looked wrong under the moonlight. Damp, gray in places, stretched too tightly over the cheekbones. The man in the white visor leaned closer. "You don't know what happened in 2009. "No," I said. "That was true." His smile returned, but it had changed. Now it looked like a cut. "Then why are you repeating what you don't understand?" The fairway shifted beneath my boots. I staggered. The grass tried to pull at me, blades wrapping around the soles of my boots like tiny fingers. I remembered Gerald's extra warning. If you smell fresh-cut grass where you haven't mowed, turn around. I had turned around before. Now there was nowhere to turn that wasn't fairway. But maybe turning around wasn't about direction. Maybe it was about refusing the path. I closed my eyes. Then I turned completely away from green 13. Behind me, the shed door was still there, farther than it should have been, floating in the dark at the end of a strip of moonlit grass. I walked toward it. The man in the white visor called after me. "You can't leave before you're shot." I kept walking. The gallery behind me murmured, not words at first, just disapproval. Then someone clapped once, slowly. Another joined, then another. Applause built behind me, polite, controlled, mocking. Rule 15. If you hear applause from the clubhouse balcony, do not bow. This wasn't the clubhouse balcony, but I was done trusting technicalities. I did not turn. I did not bow. I walked faster. The grass under me lengthened. Perfect fairway became rough. Rough became weeds. Weeds became palmetto roots and black mud. The shed door stayed ahead. The man in the white visor shouted, "You still have to finish the course." A golf ball struck the ground beside my boot. I dropped flat before the word reached me. 4! The ball hit a tree ahead of me with a sound like a bone breaking. Something wet splattered across my face. I stayed down until I heard the ball land. It rolled through the grass beside my hand. This one was white, clean, except for a small red T already stuck into the top of it like a pin through an insect. A voice whispered from the rough, "Marked." I crawled the last few feet to the shed door and threw myself through it. Concrete slammed under my chest. The maintenance shed snapped back around me. Metal walls, tool racks, fuel smell, flickering light. Cart 4 parked in the barn. The back wall was solid again. I lay there, shaking until I could breathe. The clock in the office read 1:24 a.m. Only 7 minutes had passed. The grass stains on my boots were real. The splatter on my cheek was real too. I wiped it with my sleeve. Not blood, mud. Black mud. It smelled like pond water and cut grass. The logbook sat open on the desk. A new line had appeared under my last entry. 1:17 a.m. Greenskeeper stood on fairway. Did not take shot. Tournament remains delayed. I did not write that. Underneath it, something had drawn a small square. A blank score box. Waiting. I closed the book. The pro shop bell rang again. Once, then twice. Then again and again, faster this time, like someone pressing the bell over and over in frustration. Rule 10. Write the time and ignore it. I opened the logbook, despite not wanting to. 1:25 a.m. Pro shop bell rang repeatedly. Ignored. The ringing stopped. From inside the fertilizer room, the radio started laughing. My voice. Gerald's voice. A woman's voice. A crowd. Then all at once the laughter cut off. Gerald's real voice came through the shed's wall-mounted emergency speaker. "Marcus," I almost answered, then stopped. There was no rule for the emergency speaker. The course loved gaps. Gerald's voice came again. "Marcus, if you can hear me, don't speak. Knock twice on the desk." That sounded like the kind of instruction a real Gerald would give. It also sounded exactly like the kind of instruction the course would invent once it knew I was trying not to answer. I stared at the speaker. Gerald said, "Good. You're thinking. I'll do the talking." I still did not move. If you found yourself on 13, it means the map shifted under the shed. That usually doesn't happen the first night. Usually. I hated that word now. Gerald continued. "Do not mow anything. Do not take cart 4 onto the back 9. Do not touch the black flag if it appears again. If the man in the visor asks you for a tea time again, repeat the rule exactly. Don't add anything. Don't explain. Don't argue." I looked toward the locked fertilizer room. The radios inside were silent. Gerald's voice crackled. "And if you see me before sunrise, ask what happened on the 18th green." The speaker popped. Then my own voice came through. "What happened on the 18th green?" I backed away. My voice repeated from the speaker. "What happened on the 18th green?" Then the speaker died. I wrote in the log, 1:29 a.m. Emergency speaker used Gerald's voice, then mine. No response given. The ink spread on the page like the paper was wet. At 1:41, Cart 4's headlights turned on. It was parked inside the cart barn, engine off. The headlights shone directly into the shed office. Then the horn beeped. A small, cheerful sound. Once, twice, 3 times. I checked the rules. No horn rule, of course. The cart horn beeped again. Then the windshield wipers started. There was no rain. The wipers dragged back and forth over dry glass. Squeak, squeak, squeak. Something sat in the passenger seat. Not a person. A golf bag. The same one from the false fairway. My name stitched on it. Marcus Reed. A tag hung from the handle. Return to player services. I did not go near it. The cart radio crackled, even though I had thrown it in the fertilizer room. A man's voice came from the empty dashboard mount. Player Reed to the first tee. I stayed in the office. Player Reed to the first tee. The cart horn beeped again. Final call. The maintenance shed roll-up door began to rise. I ran to it and hit the close switch. The motor whined. The door kept rising. Outside, the cart path stretched into darkness, lit by small ground lights I had not seen before. The black flag stood near the clubhouse fountain again. Beyond it, the clubhouse glowed. Every window lit. The balcony full of figures, waiting. The door rose another foot. I grabbed the manual chain and pulled down with all my weight. The door stopped. For a second it hung halfway open. A golf ball rolled under it from outside. Then another, then another. White balls rolled across the concrete floor. Dozens of them, all marked with red T's. Some with teeth stuck to them. Some with tiny initials written in old ink. One rolled to my boot and stopped. MRI kicked it back under the door. The roll-up door slammed shut. On the other side, the crowd applauded. I did not bow. At 2:03, the frogs started calling again. Loud, too loud. The sound came from every direction, but especially from the course. Wetland frogs, tree frogs, deep bullfrog croaks, all layered into a single pulsing wall of noise. Then sprinklers came on outside the shed. I looked through the smallest gap in the office blinds. Black water sprayed in arcs over the equipment yard. Rule 8. If sprinklers run black water, let them run until the frogs stop calling. I waited. The frogs grew louder. The black water soaked the gravel. It sprayed the side of cart 4. It ran down the roll-up doors and seeped under the metal lip. I lifted my boots onto the desk chair. The water spread across the concrete floor in a thin black sheet. It did not reflect the office light. Instead, it reflected the course. Not the shed ceiling, not the tool racks. The course. Green 18. The final hole. I knew it somehow. A long fairway under storm clouds. A pond guarding the right side. A sand trap shaped like a crescent. The clubhouse balcony overlooking the green. People stood around the green in rain. Dozens of them. Players, staff, spectators. Gerald stood younger, maybe 30 years younger, wearing a Cypress Hollow maintenance uniform. The man in the white visor stood over a putt. The cup on the 18th green was open. Too open. Wider than it should have been. A dark circle in the grass. Gerald shouted something in the reflection. No sound came through. The man in the white visor swung his putter. The ball rolled toward the cup. The green sank. Not all at once. It puckered around the hole, grass folding inward like skin around a wound. The man in the visor stepped back too late. The cup opened. The green swallowed him to the waist. The crowd screamed silently. Gerald ran forward. The ground dropped under the spectators. The 18th green collapsed into a black sinkhole full of water, grass, broken flagpoles, golf carts, bodies, and something pale moving under all of it. The black water on the shed floor rippled. The reflected Gerald turned toward me. Now his voice came through. "Don't let them finish the round." The frog stopped. The sprinklers shut off. The black water drained through cracks in the concrete that hadn't been there before. The office was dry again. On the desk lay a single wet scorecard. Cypress Hollow Invitational, Final Round 2009. The player names were blurred except for one, Victor Lane, the man in the white visor. His score after 17 holes was circled, -13. Under hole 18, no score was recorded. Just a blank box, a blank space waiting to be filled. I wrote the name in the log. 2:07 AM. Saw reflection of 2009 final round. Player name Victor Lane. 18th green collapse. No score recorded. The shed lights flickered. The logbook page turned by itself. A line appeared in handwriting I did not recognize. He still thinks he can win. At 2:22, knocking came from inside cart 4, Rule 18. Do not answer knocking from inside a locked golf cart. Cart 4 had no doors, no locks, but the knocking came from inside it anyway. Tap, tap, tap. I stayed in the office. The knocking continued. Tap, tap, tap. Then a small voice whispered from the cart barn. "Mister? No, 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 no. Mister, I'm locked in." I closed my eyes. "Mister, please." It sounded like a child, young, scared, close. The cart horn beeped once, very softly. "Mister, I can't breathe." I gripped the edge of the desk. Gerald's words came back to me. "Do not answer knocking from inside a locked golf cart." The child sobbed. "I only came to get my dad." I did not move. The knocking became weaker. Tap, tap, tap. Then the child whispered, "He's on 18. Silence. I waited. The cart barn was quiet. Then something heavy shifted inside cart 4. The child's voice changed. Lower, older, Victor Lane's voice. "You should have answered the kid." The cart engine started. The roll-up door lifted. This time, I did not try to stop it. Rule 11. If a golf cart follows you without a driver, do not look back. Drive to the maintenance shed and shut the door. But I was already in the maintenance shed. Cart 4 rolled out by itself and vanished into the course. I shut the door after it left, locked it. Then I realized Rule 2. Use only cart 4 after dark. If cart 4 is not in the barn, wait in the shed until it returns. So I waited. At 2:49, lightning flashed outside. No thunder. Rule 19. If lightning flashes with no thunder, count the seconds until you hear a club strike. I counted. 1, 2, 3, 4. At 9, a golf club struck a ball somewhere outside. A clean, sharp crack. Something hit the shed roof hard enough to dent the metal. Then another strike. Another impact. Lightning flashed again. No thunder. I counted. 1, 2. At 2, a club strike. A ball smashed through the office window. Glass exploded inward. I ducked. The ball hit the wall behind me and dropped onto the desk. It was black. Not painted black. Burned black. Smoke rose from it. A tooth was embedded in the side. The course outside went quiet. I took a red tee from the bag and marked the ball where it sat. The moment the tee touched the desk, the ball split open. Inside was a tiny rolled piece of paper. I should not have unrolled it, I know that now. But it was in my office, on my desk, inside a golf ball that had come through my window at 2:49 a.m. By that point, Curiosity was less a flaw and more a disease. The paper read, "Lane requests relief from hole 18. Underneath, Greenskeeper must approve drop." I did not know golf well enough, but I knew a drop meant moving the ball from an unplayable place. Victor Lane was asking me to help him continue, to finish the hole, to fill the blank score. I burned the paper in the maintenance sink. The moment flame touched it, the clubhouse lights went out. A scream came from the 18th green. Far away, male, furious. At 3:10, cart 4 returned. It rolled into the barn slowly, no headlights, no radio, no golf bag in the passenger seat. The cargo bed was full of sand, freshly raked sand. Rule 16. If the sand traps look freshly raked, stay out of them. The sand in the cart bed had rake lines across it, perfect and parallel. Something small protruded from the center, a child's hand. I stepped back. The hand moved, its fingers flexed. Then it sank under the sand. I slammed the cart barn door shut and locked it from the outside. The knocking began immediately. Tap, 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 not from the cart, from the entire barn. At 3:26, the front gate intercom buzzed. There was no front gate intercom. I heard it anyway through the shed speaker, a flat electronic buzz. Then Gerald's voice. "Marcus." I did not answer. "Marcus, I need you to open the gate. Rule 21. If Gerald radios and tells you to open the gate at night, ask him what happened on the 18th green. If he says sinkhole, keep the gate locked." This was not the radio, but I had learned. I shouted toward the speaker, "What happened on the 18th green?" Static. Gerald's voice answered, "Sinkhole." I stayed where I was. The speaker buzzed again. "Open the gate." "No." Gerald's voice became angry. "Open the damn gate." "No." Then the voice changed. Victor Lane. "I paid for this course." The shed lights flickered. "I paid for every inch of it." The roll-up doors shook. "I paid for the drainage." The office window shards rattled. "I paid for the permits." A golf ball rolled out from under the cart barn door. "I paid for the silence." The ball stopped at my feet. On it, written in black marker, was "Mulligan." I did not mark it. I kicked it away. The ball rolled back. Victor Lane laughed through the speaker. "You don't understand the game." I grabbed the rules and logbook, then moved to the back of the office. The course map on the wall had changed again. Hole 18 now sat directly outside the maintenance shed. Green 13 overlapped it. 2 holes in the same place. 2 flags. 1 black, 1 white. The map lines twisted around each other like roots. Rule 20. If the course map changes, copy the new path into the log before sunrise. I copied it. My hand shook so badly the lines came out jagged. As I drew, the shed floor softened. Not grass this time. Mud. Black mud. Sinkhole mud. The desk tilted. The walls groaned. Outside, sprinklers started again. Clear water this time. Then black. Then red. The frog screamed. Not called. Screamed. The black flag appeared in the office doorway. It stood there without a pole, just fabric hanging in the air. Victor Lane spoke from behind it. "You're my greenskeeper." "No." "You maintain the course." "No." "You clear the hazards." I looked at the flag. Behind it, I saw the 18th green in the rain. The collapse. The people screaming. Gerald trying to pull someone from the sinking grass. Victor Lane waist-deep in the hole, not afraid at first. Angry. Demanding relief. Demanding a drop. Demanding the course be corrected around him. Then something in the water below grabbed his legs. His expression finally changed. Fear. The black flag fluttered. Victor whispered, "Approve the drop." I picked up the logbook. Under the map I had copied, I wrote, "Relief denied." The office shook. The flag snapped backward as if blown by a storm. Victor screamed. The shed floor hardened again. The black mud vanished. The map on the wall tore down the middle. Then the fertilizer room door opened. Both radios lay on the floor inside. Between them sat the cup from Green 18, a white plastic golf cup, full to the brim with human teeth. Rule 23. If the cup on any green is full of teeth, replace the flag and leave immediately. It was not on a green. It was in the fertilizer room, another gap. But there was a flag beside it. The black flag, folded neatly, waiting. I understood what the course wanted. Replace the flag. Leave immediately. Where? The gate was locked. Cart 4 was suspect. The shed kept becoming fairway. The clubhouse was lit or dark, depending on what it wanted. But the rule did not say leave the property. It said leave immediately. I grabbed the black flag. The teeth in the cup chattered. Every single one clicked at once. I carried the cup and flag outside through the side door, not toward the course, not toward the clubhouse, but toward the nearest patch of grass beside the shed. It was not a green. It was crabgrass and mud. I did not care. I shoved the cup into the ground, planted the black flag in it, and stepped back. The teeth stopped chattering. For 1 second, the entire golf course exhaled. Then every flag across Cypress Hollow turned black, one by one. Hole 1, hole 2, hole 3, all the way through 18. The clubhouse balcony filled with applause. Not polite now, thunderous, furious. The man in the white visor appeared at the edge of the maintenance yard, holding a putter. His clothes were soaked in black water. His white visor was stained red. "You don't get to move the hole," he said. I backed toward the shed. He walked closer. Behind him came the players from the back 9. Dozens of them, maybe more. They stepped out of palms, cart paths, bunkers, ponds, and shadows. Rule 22. If you see players on the back 9, do not count them unless they count you first. I kept my eyes low. I did not count. Victor Lane raised his putter and pointed it at me. "1," he said. The players around him turned their heads toward me. "1," they repeated. They had counted me. Now I could count them. I did not want to, but the rule implied there was a reason. So I counted, quietly, not aloud. 1, 2, 3, 4. The players advanced. 5, 6, 7. A woman in a torn tennis skirt. An old man with a broken neck. A caddy with no eyes. 8, 9, 10. More emerged from the ponds. 11, 12, 13. At 13, the black flag beside me snapped in half. Victor smiled. "Keep going." I did. 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. The ground beneath Victor opened slightly. He stopped walking. I counted one more. 19. The extra flag. The unlisted player. The course itself. The players froze. Victor's smile vanished. I said nothing, but the count was done. 19. The course had counted me. I had counted it back. The maintenance shed speaker crackled. Gerald's real voice came through, faint and urgent. "Marcus, get to the gate." Victor turned toward the speaker. Gerald continued. "Do not take cart 4. Do not follow the cart path. Take the service road behind the fuel tanks." The players began moving again, slowly. Victor pointed at me. "Disqualified players don't leave." I ran, not into the shed, around it, past the fuel tanks, behind the old mower racks. There was a service road there, just like Gerald said, narrow, sandy, half covered by weeds, leading toward the front gate through a line of dead palms. Behind me, the players followed. I could hear them, golf shoes in wet grass, clubs dragging, carts humming without drivers, the clubhouse crowd applauding with every step. I ran until my lungs burned. The gate appeared ahead, locked. I had the key. Beyond it, the road outstretched under moonlight. I reached the padlock, shoved the key in, and froze. Rule 1. Lock the front gate at sunset. Do not open it again until sunrise. It was not sunrise. Behind me, Victor Lane laughed. Gerald's voice came from the other side of the gate. "Marcus!" He stood outside in the road, alive, real-looking, holding a flashlight. "Open it!" I gripped the lock. "What happened on the 18th green?" Gerald shouted back. "Not a sinkhole!" My hand went cold. The rule said, if he says sinkhole, keep it locked. He had not said sinkhole, but every fake voice had said sinkhole because it knew the wrong answer. Gerald yelled, "It wasn't a sinkhole, it was a mouth!" Behind me, Victor Lane screamed. The players stopped. The lock clicked open in my hand. I pushed the gate. It would not move, not because it was locked, because something on the course side held it shut. Victor stood 20 feet behind me now. His eyes were black. His putter dragged sparks along the road. "You can't abandon the course mid-round," Gerald shouted from outside the gate. "Throw me the logbook." I hesitated. "The logbook. Now." The logbook was under my arm. Everything I had seen was inside it. Every rule followed. Every refusal. Every name. Every gap. Blank spaces get filled. I understood. The course wanted the logbook kept inside. Gerald wanted it out. I threw it through the bars. Victor lunged. Too late. Gerald caught the book. The gate swung open. I stumbled through. Gerald grabbed my shirt and pulled me onto the road. The gate slammed shut behind me. Victor hit it from the other side so hard the iron bent. Gerald shoved the logbook into my chest. "Don't drop this." The black flags across the course snapped in the wind. A siren began wailing from the clubhouse. Not an alarm, a tournament horn. Gerald looked toward the east, still dark, no sunrise. Then he looked back at me. "Run." We ran down the road toward my car. Behind us, the front gate opened by itself, and Cart 4 rolled out of Cypress Hollow with no driver, headlights off, and a child's hand knocking from inside the glove box. Cart 4 rolled out of Cypress Hollow with no driver. Its headlights were off. Its motor hummed softly, and from inside the glove box came the sound of a child knocking. Tap, tap, tap. Gerald grabbed my arm and yanked me toward my car. "Don't look back." I looked back. I wish I could tell you I didn't. The cart rolled through the open gate and onto the road behind us, moving slowly at first, almost politely. Its windshield was cracked. Black water dripped from the tires. Grass clippings stuck to the undercarriage. The passenger seat was empty. The glove box shook. Tap, tap, tap. A small voice called from inside it. "Mister?" My stomach turned. Gerald's grip tightened until it hurt. "Keep moving. There's a kid." "No, there isn't. It sounds like a kid. That's why it works." The cart sped up. Not much, just enough to keep pace with us. Gerald was older, but fear made him fast. He shoved the logbook against my chest with one hand and pointed to my car with the other. "Keys ready." I fumbled them out. The cart horn beeped once behind us, a cheerful little sound. Then the child whispered, "Please don't leave me in here." I almost stopped. Gerald saw it. He slapped me across the face, hard. The shock snapped me back into my body. "Do not answer locked things," he said. I nodded, breathing hard. We reached my car. I unlocked it. Gerald threw himself into the passenger seat while I slid behind the wheel. I started the engine, slammed it into drive, and hit the gas. The tires spun in the sandy road. For one horrible second, the car didn't move. Behind us, cart 4 rolled closer. Tap, tap, tap. The child sobbed from the glove box. "Mister, I can't breathe." The car lurched forward. We shot down the road between the dead palms. In the rearview mirror, cart 4 followed. Still no headlights, still no driver. Gerald reached over and slapped the mirror upward so it faced the ceiling. "Don't use mirrors. That wasn't on the rules. I'm adding it." The cart horn beeped again. Once, twice, then a third time, longer. Gerald twisted around in his seat but kept his eyes low, looking through the back window at the road instead of directly at the cart. "It crossed the gate," he muttered. "That's bad?" "Everything past the gate is bad." The road ahead stretched through the swamp, pale under moonlight, framed by trees and leaning palms. It should have led to the main highway in less than a mile. It didn't. It curved. I had driven in on a straight road. Now it curved left, then right, then left again. Gerald cursed. "What? The course is still around us. We're outside the gate. The gate isn't the boundary anymore." In the darkness ahead, a white flag appeared beside the road. Then another, golf flags. They lined the shoulder like mile markers. The first flag had a number, the second, the third. Gerald looked at the logbook in my lap. "Open it. I'm driving. Then drive with one hand." The road curved again. A pond appeared on the right where no pond should have been. Black water, no reflection. On the bank sat an alligator. It lifted its head as we passed and spoke in Victor Lane's voice. "Cart path only." I pressed harder on the gas. Gerald opened the logbook across his knees. The pages were damp but readable. Every entry I had written was still there, along with the lines that had appeared by themselves. "Tournament remains delayed. He still thinks he can win. Relief denied." Gerald flipped to the course map I had copied. The ink had changed again. The map no longer showed Cypress Hollow as a golf course. It showed the road we were on, curving through all 18 holes. The gate was behind us, marked as T1. The highway was gone. At the end of the road was green 18. Gerald's face tightened. "We're on the round. What does that mean?" "It means we don't get off the course by running." The cart horn beeped behind us, closer. I glanced at the side mirror before I remembered. Cart 4 was there, not behind us, beside us, keeping pace in the opposite lane, no driver. The glove box knocked from inside. Tap, tap, tap. A child's hand pushed through the seam, small fingers, pale and muddy, curling around the edge. I swerved. Gerald shouted, "Straight!" I corrected just before the car dropped off the road into the pond. The alligator stood on its hind legs at the water's edge and watched us pass. The road straightened. Flag 7 flashed by, then 8, then 9. We were moving through the course in order. "Tell me what happened on 18, I said. Gerald stared down at the logbook. "Not now. Now seems perfect. If I tell it wrong, he gets to correct me. Then tell it right." Gerald closed his eyes. For a few seconds, the only sounds were the engine, my breathing, and cart 4 humming beside us. Then he said, "Cypress Hollow wasn't abandoned because of a hurricane. I figured." It was built wrong from the start. Wetland fill, bad drainage, cheap surveying, karst underneath the back nine, limestone cavities, sinkholes waiting to happen. I looked at him. Limestone? Florida's full of it, holes under holes under holes. Water moves through places nobody maps. Flag 10 passed, then 11. Cart 4 drifted behind us again. Gerald continued. Victor Lane owned the course. Rich man, real estate man. Smiled like he was doing everybody a favor by ruining land. Cypress Hollow Invitational was his showpiece. Final round, 2009. Storm was coming in. Staff wanted to call it. Players wanted to call it. I wanted to call it. But Victor didn't. No, he was leading by 13 under. He said the course was playable. Lightning flashed ahead. No thunder. Rule 19. If lightning flashes with no thunder, count the seconds until you hear a club strike. I started counting. 1, 2, 3. Gerald counted with me. 4, 5. At 6, a club struck a ball somewhere in the trees. Crack. Something slammed into the windshield. The glass spiderwebbed. A golf ball lodged halfway through, smoking black, a tooth embedded in its side. I kept driving. Gerald did not stop talking. He forced the final group onto 18. Rain was coming sideways. The green was soft. Too soft. I told him the ground was moving. Flag 12 passed. My hands tightened on the wheel. 117 had passed, but I still hated seeing fairway on either side of the road. What did he say? I asked. Gerald's voice turned flat. He said, then fix it. That's what greenskeepers are for. Flag 13 appeared ahead. Black, not white. The road narrowed. On both sides the fairway was impossibly perfect. Shortcut grass, dew glimmering silver. At the end of it, green 13 overlapped the road like a stain. Gerald whispered, do not stop. Victor Lane stood in the middle of the road. White visor, soaked shirt, putter in one hand. He smiled as our headlights hit him. I did not brake. Every human instinct told me to. I didn't. At the last second, Victor stepped aside. As we passed, he leaned toward my window and whispered, play through. The car shook. The road behind us vanished in the mirrorless dark. Cart 4 was gone for about 10 seconds. Then it appeared in front of us, facing us, parked sideways across the road. The glove box door hung open. A child's hand dangled out. The fingers twitched. I slammed the brakes. The car skidded to a stop inches from the cart. Gerald cursed. Reverse. I threw the car into reverse. Nothing happened. The engine revved. The car did not move. The road behind us was no longer pavement. It was sand trap, freshly raked. Perfect parallel lines stretched across the ground behind the car. Rule 16. If the sand traps look freshly raked, stay out of them. We were not in it yet, but reverse would put us there. The cart sat in front. The sand trap waited behind. The fairways surrounded us. Gerald grabbed the logbook. He's forcing a drop. What? In golf, if your ball is unplayable, you take relief. Move it. Penalty stroke. Keep playing. I know that part. He wants us to approve relief from the cart. The glove box knocked. Tap, tap, tap. The child whispered, please. Gerald's face twisted. I looked at him. You knew the kid? He didn't answer. Gerald, his voice broke. His name was Ben. The child in the glove box whispered, Mr. Evers? Gerald turned toward the window. I grabbed his shoulder. No. His eyes were wet. He was 10. The hand in the glove box flexed. Mr. Evers, I'm stuck. Gerald covered his mouth. Victor Lane's voice came from the dark fairway. The boy is entitled to relief. Gerald shook his head. He sent Ben for a club, he whispered. During the storm, cart path was flooding. I told him no carts near 18. Victor told the boy to fetch his wedge from the service cart. The hand knocked weakly. Tap, tap, tap. The ground opened under the cart first, Gerald said. Not the green, the cart. I looked at the glove box, the tiny hand, the impossible darkness inside. Ben went down, Gerald nodded. Then the green. Victor stepped into the headlights. Relief requested. No, I said. Victor's eyes moved to me. You are not the official. I'm the Greenskeeper tonight. His smile returned. Then maintain the course. The car doors unlocked. All of them. Click. The glove box opened wider. Inside was not plastic and wiring. It was a hole, deep, black, wet. At the bottom, a child cried. Gerald reached for the door handle. I grabbed the logbook and shouted, "Relief denied!" The cart vanished. So did the sand trap. The car lurched forward as if released from a hook. I hit the gas. We shot through the space where cart 4 had been. Gerald sobbed once and covered his face. Flag 14 passed, then 15. The course around us changed again. Now the road ran through a crowd. Players stood on either side, shoulder to shoulder. Some wore soaked golf clothes. Some wore staff uniforms. Some wore wedding clothes from clubhouse events that must have happened before the closure. Their skin was gray. Their eyes followed us. None of them spoke. That was worse. Flag 16. Flag 17. The air pressure dropped. Ahead, the road widened into a green. The final green. Hole 18. The clubhouse stood beyond it, lit from top to bottom. The balcony was packed with spectators. The black flag flew from the cup. The cup itself was too wide. A dark circular opening in the center of the green. Mouth, Gerald had said. Not sinkhole, mouth. The car rolled to a stop on its own at the edge of the green. The engine died. The headlights stayed on. Victor Lane waited beside the cup. He held a putter. A ball lay at his feet. White, clean, perfect. He looked at me. Final putt, Gerald whispered. Don't get out. The doors opened by themselves. Crowd applause rolled across the 18th green. Rule 15. If you hear applause from the clubhouse balcony, do not bow. I did not bow, but I got out. I don't know if that was bravery or stupidity. Maybe both are the same thing when you've run out of road. The green was wet under my boots. Not dew, not rain. Something thicker. Victor addressed the ball. You interrupted play. I held the logbook against my chest. You're dead. He looked almost offended. I am leading. The tournament was canceled in 2009. His grip tightened around the putter. The tournament was suspended, canceled, suspended, canceled. The crowd hissed from the balcony. Victor stepped away from the ball. You people keep saying that word like it matters. It does. A tournament ends when a winner is recorded. Gerald got out of the car behind me. His face was pale but steady. No, Victor. Victor's expression sharpened. Gerald. The tournament ended when Ben went under. Victor waved one hand. Tragic accident. Gerald flinched but kept walking. The tournament ended when you told us to play through. Course conditions were playable. The course was eating people. Victor laughed. Rich, cold, familiar. I built this place. The ground under the cup pulsed. The hole widened slightly. Something pale moved below. No, I said. You fed it. Victor looked at me. Same thing. The clubhouse crowd applauded. I did not bow. The logbook opened in my hands by itself. Pages flipped wildly. Every entry, every rule, every strange thing I had written. Then it stopped at a blank page. At the top, words appeared in wet black ink. Final score required. Victor smiled. See? Gerald whispered. No blank spaces. The cup on green 18 widened again. Teeth lined the inside. Not human teeth, not animal teeth. Both. Too many. The ground trembled. Victor placed his ball. If I make this, he said, I win. What happens if you win? He smiled. The course reopens. Every figure on the balcony leaned forward. The players around the green watched. The dead staff, the drowned caddies, the thing under the course, waiting for one final score. Gerald shook his head. He can't be allowed to finish. How do we stop him? Victor drew back the putter. Gerald looked at me. Greenskeeper makes the call. Victor swung. The putter struck the ball. A soft click. The ball rolled toward the cup. Straight, slow, certain. I did the only thing I could think of. I threw the logbook onto the green in front of it. The ball hit the open page and stopped. The whole course screamed. Victor stared at the ball, then at me. You interfered with play. Yes, you can't do that. I maintain the green. The logbook page smoked beneath the ball. I stepped forward. My legs shook so badly, I almost fell. Then I wrote across the blank page, course unplayable. The cup snapped wider. The black flag whipped in a wind that touched nothing else. Victor lunged at me. Gerald tackled him. Both men hit the wet green and rolled toward the cup. Gerald! I grabbed his belt. Victor grabbed the flagstick. The ground around the cup folded inward. Grass became mud. Mud became black water. The mouth opened. For 1 second, I saw down into it. Not a sinkhole. Not just a sinkhole. A vertical throat of limestone and roots and water, full of golf carts, clubs, bones, flags, shoes, teeth, and pale blind fish swimming through dark air. At the bottom, something waited. Huge, white, soft-looking, like a root system that had learned hunger. It opened with the green. Victor laughed, not afraid, triumphant. You see? He shouted. The course wants completion. Gerald punched him in the face. Victor's visor flew off. For the first time, I saw the top of his head. It was caved in. Mud and grass filled the wound. Gerald shouted, "Write it!" I grabbed the logbook. What? The ruling! Victor clawed at him. The mouth pulled them both closer. Gerald's boot slid into the widening cup. His face twisted with pain. Marcus! I looked down at the page. Course unplayable. Not enough. Too vague. The course liked vague. I wrote, Cypress Hollow Invitational canceled in 2009 due to fatal course failure. The crowd screamed. Victor's hands slipped. The mouth pulled harder. Gerald shouted, "Names!" I wrote. Victor Lane refused to suspend play. Ben Evers was sent onto unsafe ground. Green 18 collapsed. No winner recorded. The green bucked under me. Ben Evers, the child, Gerald's name, his son, nephew. I looked at him. Gerald saw the question and answered through clenched teeth. My boy, Victor grabbed Gerald's throat. He was a cart kid. He was my son. The words cracked across the green like thunder. The sky flashed. This time there was thunder. Real thunder. The first real thunder of the night. The crowd on the balcony went silent. Gerald's son had not just been bait. He had been the thing Gerald came back for every night. The reason he kept the rules. The reason he hired people. The reason he stayed close enough to the course to hear it when it called. The glove box knocking began again, not from cart 4, from under the green. Tap, Tap, tap. Ben's voice whispered, "Dad?" Gerald froze. Victor smiled through blood and mud. "There he is." The mouth stopped pulling, waiting, offering. Gerald looked toward the sound. I knew that look. I had seen it on my own face when the child called from the cart. Want, grief, the need to answer. I shouted, "Gerald, don't!" Ben whispered, "Dad, I'm still in here." Gerald's hands loosened. Victor shoved him. I threw myself forward and grabbed Gerald's collar just as he slid to the edge of the mouth. The black water below surged up. Cold spray hit my face. Ben's voice came again. "Dad, please," Gerald sobbed. "I'm sorry," Victor whispered. "Approve the drop." Gerald closed his eyes. Then he said, "No." The mouth recoiled. Victor screamed. Gerald grabbed the flagstick with both hands and yanked it from the cup. The black flag tore free. The second it left the hole, every black flag across Cypress Hollow fell. The crowd on the balcony vanished row by row. Victor clawed at the grass. The mouth opened wider beneath him. "No," he snarled. "No, I paid for this course." Gerald stood on shaking legs, still holding the flagstick. And I maintained it. Then he drove the flagstick down through Victor Lane's chest and into the green. Victor gasped. The ground swallowed him. Not fast, not dramatically. It took him inch by inch, pulling him down through the cup he had spent 14 years trying to finish. He fought, he cursed, he demanded relief, he demanded a drop, he demanded a ruling. I wrote one last line in the logbook: relief denied. Victor disappeared. The mouth slammed shut. Green 18 became grass again. Not perfect grass, not tournament grass. Wild grass, ruined grass, real grass. The clubhouse lights went out. The balcony emptied. The course fell silent. For a moment, Gerald and I stood alone on the 18th green, under a sky finally starting to lighten. Then Cart 4 rolled out of the darkness. This time, it had a driver. A small boy sat behind the wheel, 10 years old. Brown hair plastered to his forehead. Cypress Hollow staff shirt too big for him. His hands rested on the steering wheel, but he did not seem to be steering. The cart came to a stop beside Gerald. Gerald made a sound like his heart had been pulled out of him. "Ben." The boy looked at him, not smiling, not crying, just tired. "Can I go now?" Gerald dropped to his knees. "Yes," he whispered. "Yes, buddy." The glove box opened by itself. Inside was a white golf ball. Ben picked it up and handed it to me. It was warm. On one side, written in tiny letters, was DNF. Did not finish. I looked back at Ben. He was already fading. So was Cart 4. Gerald reached for him, but stopped before touching. Maybe he remembered every rule at once. Maybe he finally knew love did not mean grabbing what the course offered. Ben looked at his father. "You should leave too." Gerald covered his mouth. "I know." The boy and the cart vanished in the first gray light before sunrise. The golf ball remained in my hand. Gerald and I walked back to the maintenance shed in silence. The course looked different in morning, not safe, but old, tired. The fairways were overgrown again. The ponds reflected pale sky. The clubhouse stood boarded and dead. The black flags were gone. At the gate, my car sat exactly where I had left it before the shift began. No cracked windshield, no golf ball embedded in the glass, no black streaks. But my boots were covered in mud. The logbook was full, and Gerald looked like a man who had aged 10 years in one night. The front gate was locked. I unlocked it after sunrise. Only after. Gerald did not stop me. Outside the gate, the road led to the highway like it always had. I almost cried when I saw it. Gerald took the logbook from me. For a second, I thought he was going to keep it. Instead, he opened to the final page and read the last line. Relief denied. He nodded once. Good ruling. What happens now? He looked back at Cypress Hollow. I don't know. That was the first honest answer I fully believed. Is it over? No, of course. But Victor won't be calling tea times anymore. What about the course? Gerald stared through the iron bars. The course was here before him. It'll be here after us. I looked at the rusted sign. Cypress Hollow, private members only. The scratched words beneath it were gone. Play through had disappeared. In its place, someone had carved, course closed. Gerald saw it too, his eyes filled with tears. He did not wipe them away. I quit that morning. I didn't give notice. I didn't ask for pay. Gerald tried to hand me an envelope of cash, but I wouldn't take it. He didn't argue. Maybe he understood. Maybe he knew there were some jobs you didn't want payment from. Before I left, he gave me the rules, the laminated sheet. I told him no. He said, "You were Greenskeeper when the final ruling was entered. That means the rules will listen to your handwriting now." I did not like that. I took the sheet anyway. I drove home after sunrise with every window down, even though the air was already hot and wet. I kept expecting to hear applause from the back seat, or a cart horn, or a child knocking from the glove box. Nothing happened for 3 weeks. Then, one morning, I found a red T in my driveway. Just one, pushed into the ground beside my front tire. Next to it was a golf ball, white, clean, unmarked. I left it there. By noon, it was gone. A month after that, Cypress Hollow burned. That was what the local news said. Old clubhouse fire, likely electrical, no injuries. Property fully abandoned. Fire crews unable to access several areas due to overgrowth. The aerial footage showed the clubhouse collapsed in on itself, smoke rising through the palms. But the fairways around it were freshly cut. Every green was visible. Every flag was white, except hole 18. Hole 18 had no flag. I tried calling Gerald. The number was disconnected. I drove past the course once. Only once. The iron gate was chained shut. The sign was blackened from smoke. The words "course closed" were still carved beneath it. Behind the gate, the driveway was overgrown. No cart tracks, no fresh grass smell, no music, no applause. But as I sat there in my car, the pro shop bell rang from deep inside the property. Once, then again, then a third time. I drove away before it could ring a fourth. I still have the laminated rules. I keep them folded in the glove box of my car. I know that is a stupid place to keep them. I know. But every time I try to move them, I hear a child knock softly from somewhere I can't see. Tap, tap, tap. So I leave them there. Last week, I found a scorecard tucked under my windshield wiper. No name at the top. No tournament title. Just one line written across the middle. Cypress Hollow Invitational, final round. Rescheduled. Under hole 18, the score box was blank. I burned it. Then I buried the ashes before sunrise. Because that was not on the rules, but by now I know how rules are born. Someone survives. Someone writes down what almost killed them. Someone else reads it and thinks it sounds stupid. I thought it sounded stupid too. Until the pond on hole 7 stood up and spoke. Until the clubhouse applauded. Until I watched a dead millionaire demand relief from a mouth in the earth. So if you ever take a night job at an abandoned golf course in Florida and an old greenskeeper hands you rules, don't laugh. If you find a ball you didn't place, mark it and leave it. If someone yells 4 after midnight, get down and stay down. If a man in a white visor asks for his tea time, tell him the tournament was canceled in 2009. And if the cup on any green is full of teeth, replace the flag and leave immediately. Not because leaving saves you, sometimes it doesn't, but because whatever waits under the green likes people who hesitate. And at Cypress Hollow, the course is always looking for someone willing to play through.